Okay, I figured out my key to success, now I'm locked in. I learned how to open doors like a locksmith. I'm uptown, I'm the one they wanna shop with. Run off with the bag even though we don't shoplift. All that gun talk y'all want, I'm not with. It's not cool, everybody got them long clips. You gon' mess around and get one of your dogs hit. And when you do, I hope you know you're not John Wick.
What up? Welcome back. Appreciate you locking in with me. I'm Atwood, killer to my left here, a fighter here at the Next Element Academy in Myrtle Beach. Fought pretty much everything. I think I've seen you fight kickboxing, MMA. I've seen you compete in jiu-jitsu tournaments. It's Skyler Thrasher. Skyler, real quick, are you from Myrtle Beach or?
No, I'm actually from Atlanta, Georgia, and I moved to Myrtle Beach probably like 12 years ago.
What brought you here?
We went here on vacation, me and my family, and then the next month my mom was like, we're moving, and I'm like, okay, great.
So how did you, what brought you to mixed martial arts or martial arts in general?
I used to do commercial construction, and I would always be gone all the time, and every time I would come home, like, my mom was, like, getting, like, sicker and sicker, and we were watching a movie, Bruised, with Halle Berry, the MMA movie, I just kept thinking about it. Every time I would leave, I was like, I want to do that so bad, and so I went on the leap of faith, and I quit my full-time job, and I started training full-time.
Really? So just no prior experience, you just quit your job and started training full time?
Basically, because like I met DK when I was like 15, but that's when I started like going down like the troubled path, and like I was like, you know what, MMA is like whatever, I'm a kid right now, you know. And so I knew DK like briefly for like maybe 2 months, and so then that was it, and I literally just quit and was like, you know what, I'm going to go talk to him and see what's up.
So you've been training with DK the entire time?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Right on.
Yep.
So I've seen you fight a couple times. Saw you compete also in jiu-jitsu. Man, I remember that day. That was a tough day for you because I feel like you had to – there was one chick you had to go against like 3 times.
Yeah.
And was it twice in gi and once in no gi, or is it the other way around?
It was both in no gi, and I signed up for the wrong bracket. So like she was a blue belt, and like I'm still a white belt. I never trained gi. I'm trying to at least now. Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Have a good day. Fucking Jeremiah, dude. Always. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Yeah, I signed up for the wrong bracket, so it was just like it was a good competition, or at least to see where I was at. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, jiu-jitsu, like I'm starting to enjoy it more now, and like the grappling side of things, because I'm normally just a striker.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, I think you fought MMA before, but is it primarily kickboxing that you fought?
Yeah, I've done like most kickboxing. I was a main event at the Charleston card in Conflict for Muay Thai.
I was there for that. You beat their hometown girl.
Yep.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, she had a record of 9-11, and I'm like 3-1 in Muay Thai.
Yeah.
So it was a good challenge.
It was a test for you. Well, I mean, it was a test, but if you saw it, it wasn't. It was a beating, is what it was. So. Oh, by the way, so I have a guy that I work with at the radio station who he came to watch me compete at jiu-jitsu, and he saw you there, and he brought you up the other day. He said that he saw you at the store, and he came up to you. He's like, hey, like I know you don't know me, but I know you. I saw you compete in jiu-jitsu. Did he really do that? Did somebody come up to you at the store and say that?
Dude, honestly, you know, like, I cannot remember. Like,
I don't know how long ago it was, and I don't know what store it was, but he's like, yeah, that girl that you train with, the one with the tattoos. Like, I saw her at the store. It's like, I went up and said hey to her. I think she thought I was an idiot, but so after the jiu-jitsu tournament, which, by the way, was like over a year ago, I feel like. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
He was asking me about you. He's like, does she train with you? Is she a fighter? He's like, that girl looks mean. and I remember we were watching you compete in gi at at the tournament, and you were throwing this chick around, and he was just like, dang, man, like, is she in the right like class in terms of rank? And I was like, yeah, she's a white belt. I didn't know the other chick was a blue belt.
Yeah.
I never even I don't even remember seeing her wearing a blue belt. Now that I think about it, I mean, I should have. But yeah, it was fun watching you compete too, because out of all the females that were out there, like everybody was looking at your match because you two were just going at it. So coming up, I know you have a fight coming up, don't you?
Well, dude. So the thing is,
somebody pulled out, huh?
Well, she hasn't even accepted yet. She said on a 2-week notice, I'll let you know, because she's in like pilot school or something like that. And so her coach sent like all these things where it was like, it sounded like excuses, but I'm like, everybody has their own things going on.
Yeah.
So she said maybe in 2 weeks out from the fight date that she'll maybe accept. And then hopefully in May, which we're also waiting on this girl to accept too. So hopefully then,
yeah,
I want to fight both. I want to fight them all. I just want to keep them coming in.
So how many, what is your record now?
I'm 4-1 in Muay Thai, 1-0 in MMA, which
funny story about that too.
Yeah, funny story about that. So it was this time last year, April 27th is when I fought Taylor, which is now my girlfriend.
Yeah. How does that happen?
Dude.
Tell us the story of that, because I was there for that fight too. And I think this one beforehand, DK was like, she's a wrestler.
Yeah.
She's going to try to take you down. And she did. She got you down. I think she even mounted you at some point, and you got out. It was a scrap.
Yeah, it really was a war. And, like, it's so funny now because it's like, that's my best friend and my best training partner, And I even told her last night, I was like, we'll probably end up talking about you in this podcast.
Oh, I was definitely bringing this up.
Right.
Because that's something that doesn't happen every day, It's rare that you see people that were beating the shit out of each other in a cage in front of a bunch of people, and now that they're like best friends and they're dating.
Literally.
So how did that happen?
So like literally like from the day after the fight, we've been talking ever since. Like just like she followed me on Instagram like after the fight, and I messaged her, and like it was like like a friend thing at first, obviously, and then like next weekend I drove up to Columbia and we were training and we spend every weekend together.
So she lives up in Columbia?
Yep.
Oh, word.
Yep. So we train. We'll go to open mat on Friday. Saturday we'll go boxing or like go on a run, whatever. Sunday we'll do MMA sparring. And like it's like a different thing because you got to separate your relationship in like training because it's like you're hitting your significant other in the face.
True.
And like it's like y'all are going to war, and it's like we have that comfortability with each other since we've already fought. So it's like we'll like be going to deep waters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like it's with love, and it's like we hold each other to expectations because it's like
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's different.
No, definitely different. It's a there's a weird dynamic there, I guess, of holding each other accountable in training, because besides being friends and having that professional relationship as well, you care about one another. So it's man, that's got to be weird though. Does it ever feel like domestic violence?
Well, there's this one time like I actually like we got pretty mad at each other during training, and like she shoulder checked me. Like I'm on the ground, she's like mounted, and she just hit me with her shoulder, and like for some reason that really just hit the nerve,
Yeah.
And like we start scrapping, dude, and she was like, "You do realize we're going home with each other after this?" So like it's definitely like an interesting thing, you know, where like somebody's bleeding, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry," like She scratched my cornea twice, and I'm like, yo, like, if you just wanted me to stay, that's all you have to say. Because, like, now I can't drive home for a week. But, yeah, like, it's awesome. And it's definitely made my grappling so much better because, like you said.
Of her wrestling background.
Yeah. So, and, like, I help her with striking. So, it's, like, a good trade-off, you know?
Yeah.
We always talk about, like, if we fight now, it's, like, it has to be for $3 million.
Yeah, you got to up the stakes now.
Exactly.
So how how active has she been since you guys fought last? Or
Dude,
fought first, I guess.
right. She goes to Gamma, fights for Gamma.
Yep.
So she's fought in Saudi Arabia, Argentina, and Indonesia. And dude, she goes by herself to these events. Like her coaches, nothing go with her. Like it's just her.
Wow. Yeah, I know the guy who started Gamma. He's a ref as well. His name is Justin Brown. He refs a lot and won championship. Actually, the first time I ever refed, I was shadowing him in Charleston. He's a cool dude. But yeah, Gamma. Man, I wanted to have him on the podcast one day to talk about that. It's that's kind of a movement to get MMA, in the Olympics and stuff like that. And they've been doing a lot lately. I think they were in Indonesia. Was it last that they were over there?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I saw Jimmy Neely and people like that, who's another ref, posting about it. But that's pretty cool. So she travels by herself. Now, does she do that because they don't pay for her coaches to go, or how does that work? Because if I'm a coach, I'm like, yo,
Right.
free trip. I want to go.
Literally, like take me with
Travel
you.
the world,
That's
and
it.
I imagine you would be there like, hello. Like,
Dude, literally, I'm like, let me get my passport and I'll go.
yeah,
Like,
right?
They go to Brazil in June, so I'm like, dude, that would be so sick.
You got plenty of time to get your passport.
That's what I'm saying,
And
dude.
it really, people think that getting a passport is like a long, drawn-out process. It really isn't. I mean, you can go to the post office. I went to the one in Soxtee off 707. They'll give you the information. You fill it out. They'll take your picture there. You pay the fees, and then that's it. There's some things that you have to take, like birth certificate and stuff like that. But
Right.
you fill all that out, and you're good to go. Yeah, if I were you, I would look into that because that would be cool too, right?
Yeah.
To travel with your partner. It's kind of a business trip, but you can
Right.
find pleasure in business trips. Especially when you're traveling the world and you haven't done it. You know what I
That's-
mean?
Yeah, literally. And the food, like, I'm in it to, like, try, like, different food and stuff.
Oh, different cultures, different foods. I mean, that's one thing I like the most about traveling. I've left the country a couple times, and I mean, it really opens your eyes to. Well, I guess depending on where you go, it might open your eyes to how good we have it here, but also experiencing different cultures, foods like you said, but not just that, like architecture, history, all that kind of stuff. Like, man, you'll get addicted to it,
Oh, sure.
and that's one thing I've told, like, Jeremiah. I was like, dude, if I were you, and it's just my opinion, if I got the opportunity to fight in another country, I'd take it. Like, experience and go out and see the world while you can. And if you can get paid to do it, why not?
Literally, or even just your trip paid for. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah, like, that's what happens for her. Like, they'll pay for your hotel room. They'll pay for all this. You just got to pay for your plane ticket. And for Worlds, whenever she went to Indonesia, like, it was like, all right, if you ranked within, like, the top 3, like, you get money. She won $1,000 just to do that, and, like,
Yeah.
that basically paid for her plane ticket. So
Yeah.
it was, like you said, a free trip.
And $1,000 is on the regional circuit can be, more than what a lot of people are making for a fight.
Right.
And I mean, it does it does suck that they're like, hey, just pay the plane ticket, which is going to be the most expensive part. But I mean, they're still helping you out with, lodging and giving you the experience, I guess. And also, like you said, if you rank high enough, then you'll get a little scratch. So
Yeah.
that doesn't sound bad. Do you have any interest in signing up with Gamma, or like how did she get involved with Gamma?
She got involved, I think, through Alexa Connors, which is
Okay,
another
yep.
female fighter.
Yep.
Gamma would be a cool experience to do. Like, I would just want to do it to travel, but
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like we both have like different pathways.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
I really want to be a world champion one day, and so I want to just focus on like getting through my fights and like going ahead and turning pro. And like she's a police officer, like
Oh, I
that's
didn't know
her.
that. Okay.
Yeah. So she's doing this as a hobby.
Yeah, she already
you
has
know?
a career path set
Yeah.
out for her.
Yeah, so like that's her experience, and like we weigh the same, so I don't want to. We probably end up going against each other in that, so it's
Yeah.
like that's her pathway. my pathway, I feel like is something different.
So when you say world champion, are you thinking MMA or kickboxing?
Oh, most definitely UFC. Like,
Okay,
yeah.
right on.
Yeah.
So going forward, obviously you have more Muay Thai and kickboxing fights than MMA fights. Are you trying to kind of wean yourself out to MMA only, or are you just taking whatever you can get?
Man, right now I'm just taking whatever I can get because, like, even in the April fight, they couldn't find an opponent for me. Taylor was going to fight the girl that I missed weight against. And so that was going to be like, an interesting thing. And then that girl pulled out. So it's a small pool,
Yeah.
So really I just take whatever I can get.
So let's talk about that weight cut. I do remember seeing a Facebook post from you about that. I actually forgot all about that till you brought it up. So when it comes down to a weight cut, now that you've done it a couple times, like, everybody obviously hates cutting weight. Nobody likes depriving their body of food and water.
And water.
I mean, it's like, it's a fast, right? Like, I just got done being sick. I got sick at the beginning or Sunday night. But so yesterday was the first time I had eaten in 3 days. And I had only drank maybe like 24 ounces of water during that 3 days, because whenever I get sick, I have no urge to eat anything. Most of the time, no urge to drink anything, because doing any of those things just makes me want to get sick,
Right.
So I just lay in bed and just be miserable, right? I didn't have a fight coming up, so I can only imagine from a fighter's perspective, having to deprive your body of these things and knowing that you're going to be in a fist fight
Right.
is not a very good thing to have on your mind. So where did things go wrong with that weight cut? Because I did see you a couple days before, and you were like, "Yeah, I feel good. Weight's on point." Like, so what happened?
It just honestly, my body just quit releasing water. Like, literally, Taylor said, I've never seen somebody actually try so hard. Like, even from her wrestling teams, they would just quit. And so she was like, you did everything to the last minute of what you could do to get the water off. And my body just literally quit releasing it.
How much did you miss by?
5 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So and that was the same weight you normally fight at?
Well, I fought in June at 135 and I made it. And when I fought Taylor, it was 145, and I was fighting 135 again. And I should have dieted better too. And I was banking on the water cut, and I realized that women do not lose water like men.
That is true.
Yeah,
that's true. So when you were cutting weight and it gets down to the last hours, we'll say, do you normally spend that in a sauna or a hot bath? Like, how do you cut it? How would you rather cut it if you could?
This next go around, I'm going to go about it a whole different way. Because what I've been doing sucks, So, I've been doing the sauna, the hot bath. She was even boiling water, dude, to put it in the bathtub because, the water was not getting hot enough, and we were running out of time.
Oh, wow.
Dude, tons of salt. It was, so bad. I literally, felt like I couldn't even, hold myself up. And so I'm like, that's no way to fight regardless, So I'm kind of glad that, I did miss weight because I would hate to lose to somebody that, maybe didn't deserve to beat me.
Yeah.
And I'd rather lose to myself,
Okay, yeah.
So, I learned a lot from it. Next time, I'm going to wear a sauna suit and just work out and just get the water out that way rather than killing myself in the sauna.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's, I've been to a couple events with Jay, and there's been times where you just kind of have to make do with what you have, right? Like, you go to a city, and we would try to go to a gym that have a sauna and be like, oh, you can't come in here if you're not a member, or everybody can't come in, because we always have a group too. When people travel from here to fight, it's never just one or two or three. For the most part, it's a crew of people.
That's it.
Everybody plays a role, whether you're a fighter or not, whether it's a significant role. Well, they're all significant when it comes down to that, but because it's everything counts, at that stage before a fight. But it's you don't always, you can't have your cake and eat it too. There's one time we all had to sit in a steam room, not a sauna, but a steam room, and that was for, I think, Jay's first bare knuckle fight. And man, when I tell you that was miserable, because I was like, everybody else had gone in there, like Nick and Britton had cut weight with them the night before. So the next day, like Nick and Britton were all sucked out, they're like, I can't do it. And I was like, all right, I'll do it, and I go in there, it's like 20 minutes in, I'm like, fuck this. Like, why do you guys do this shit to yourself? And, there's been other times where we don't have that or a sauna, so we have to use a bath, and it doesn't get hot enough, or we don't have a hot tub. So you kind of just have to make do, especially on the regional scene. Like, obviously, when you get to some of these bigger promotions, especially like the UFC, like they have everything you need.
Right.
So is it, besides that time, has there ever been a time where you're like, man, I don't know if, whether it's because you didn't have the right tools that you would normally use to cut weight, or for whatever reason, has there ever been a time you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make this weight?
Dude, the first time I went to 135, like, I made the cut or, like, dieted for a whole month, and I would normally walk around 165, which I'm working on that. I'm walking around pretty lighter right now. I'm, like, 157 right now, so it's improvement, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But within a month, I made it down to 135. And so, like, that was scary because I'm like, am I going to make it or not? And, like, I'm leaving the sauna, and I'm supposed to be driving to Charleston. And I called Bentley, and I'm like, yo, dude, like, I'm, like, crying, but, like, no tears are coming out. And, like, I'm like, I have no more water to give, And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to make it because I was 139 when I was leaving the sauna. And so, like, I'm like,
you still have 4 pounds to go.
Yeah.
Well, 3, because you can do 136, right?
Well, 137.
Oh, 137. Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, so I'm like, and being the main event, I didn't want to mess it up.
Of course, right.
But so I messed up the second one. But I made that. But, I'm going to do better. And now I have a different reason to fight, different reason why.
Yeah, you have a different why.
Yeah, and because that was the last chance that my stepdad would have saw me fight. Because he passed away January 10th, which I was supposed to fight February 1st.
Oh, shit.
But I had to pull out. And so that night that I pulled out, he actually passed away. And so, like, now it's like every training session, I'm like, I want to have a training session that Timmy would be proud of.
Yeah.
And so, like, dude, I trained my ass off.
Oh, I know.
I appreciate that.
I know you. I haven't been getting to come as much with work and stuff, but every single time I'm here, you're here. Every single time. I was here 5 times last week, and you were here every time, whether you were in the front or in the back, striking or whatnot. You definitely put in the work. And listen, DK doesn't get high on many people, but he has nothing but good things to say about you, man. And whenever last night I hit him up, because we were playing it by ear to see if I'd feel good enough for a podcast, and I feel fine. But I hit him up. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be good tomorrow. He's like, man, I can't. I was like, well, I was like, we don't have any other episodes banked, so I'll just have to find somebody to jump on with me. He's like, well, I'm doing a private with Skyler, and we've been meaning to have you on anyway. He's like, so I'll ask her if she wants to jump on. I was like, yeah, do it. So you're working on putting a fight together now.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe it's looking like it might not happen. Like,
yeah, dude, it's like a 50-50. Like
that is so bizarre. Like, I'll let you know 2 weeks out. It's like, we kind of need better than that.
Right.
Like,
and dude, at first it was like, it's a 75% yes. I'm like, so we're throwing percentages out there now,
right?
But yeah, I mean, it's super cool to be on the podcast with you. I've been watching, some episodes here and there when I can. But yeah, like she said 75% yeah, and then now it's like maybe. I mean, being in pilot school, like, should you really be fighting anyways, True.
And I'll tell you this, I was going to do pilot school last year. until I found out just how expensive it is.
Sure.
But yeah, that's one of those things where I don't see how somebody can make time for something like. Now, listen, you can have hobbies, right, and be in pilot school, but this. It can be a hobby, but this is a serious hobby,
Dude,
especially
right.
if you're actually fighting. And it's not even a hobby. Like, yeah, you might not be getting paid for it, but you're working. It's a
Right.
fucking job.
100%,
You know,
dude.
and it's no just, you show up a couple times a week, and yeah, sure, you can do that if you want, but you're gonna pay the price for that whenever it comes time to fight.
That's it.
But yeah, I don't know if I'd be banking on that chick, man. In pilot school and shit, I don't know.
Right.
Now, what date was that supposed to be?
April 5th on
So
the
that's when
conflict card.
everybody.
Yeah,
Oh,
and so like it would
man.
be super cool to fight with everybody,
Right, right.
But she was saying like in the text message like, oh, I mentally can't commit, and it's like if you do accept this fight within 2 weeks, which I hope you do if you end up watching this somehow, some way, right? But you're going to go against somebody that wants to do this as a career.
Yeah.
Wants more out of this than just like to say I did it,
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to come out here and get your ass beat
Yeah.
because like you mentally can't commit and you're taking on something that's like they're going to lock that cage behind you, like you're going into literally a fist fight.
Yeah, and that's, you hear Dana White say it all the time. He's like, when I hear somebody talk about retirement, he's like, very rarely will you ever hear me try to talk them out of it. And it's kind of the same principle with that. If you can't commit to fight, you can't mentally commit to fight, you don't need to mentally even try to commit to it because you're going to end up getting hurt.
That's it.
Or you're going to end up fucking somebody else's day up because they put in all this work and sacrifice to get ready for this fight, and then they show up and you don't.
Yep.
Have you reached out to promotion and be like, yo, just try to find somebody else? Like I don't even want to deal with this shit,
Right. And like, dude, it's so hard to find girls to fight because it's like I said, like I've already fought Taylor and like
Yeah.
I'm sure Jared would be like, you know what, y'all just have a rematch if we weren't together. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
already
yeah.
-1. And the girl that we both like where I missed weight, she was gonna fight her. She pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
The girl that I was supposed to fight February 1st, she reached out to Jared. Well, after I already told Jared like, yo, let me fight her. And she was like, no, like I got a fight going on in April. Well, her fight got canceled. So then she reached back out to Jared, and Jared called me and was like, yo, like this girl pulled out. Taylor is already supposed to be on the card, so I'm going to give her the choice between do you want to fight Taylor or do you want to fight me? And she was like, well, actually, I want to fight at 135, not 145 or 142. So then there's that one out the window, So it's just like pulling teeth to try to find girls.
Now, if they fought at 142, would that be MMA?
Yeah, it'd be MMA.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
so
yep.
would it just be considered like a catch weight?
Yeah, basically, like,
Okay.
because 140 and then you get the 2+.
Oh, that's right. I forget
yeah.
about the 2 pounds. All right. Well, I mean, listen, I know you're a religious person as well, so I know you'll be praying that
Right.
homegirl shows up for that, because that's got to be very frustrating to want to do something and make a living out of it by having a hard time finding opponents, because without opponents you can't build a resume.
That's
So that's what it's all about at this stage, in the Amis, is not only honing your skills and getting better, but it's building your resume so that one day when you do go apply for that job, like you have a resume that they would want.
That's it.
And footage as well. Everybody loves to look at footage. Is that something you do whenever you find an opponent? Do you go down the rabbit hole and start YouTubing them and looking them up on Instagram and stuff, or do you just like worry about yourself?
Dude, I accept it before I even look them up. Like, even for the Taylor fight, like, I accepted it before I even looked at her page. And then after I looked at her page, I was like, oh, she's a collegiate wrestler. And I'm like, well, I mean, we'll see what's up,
Now that you mention that, I do remember I'd be coming in for noon class, jiu-jitsu, and I'd just see you and DK over there in the corner. And either him or somebody else would be practicing trying to shoot and take you down, and you're just over and over. And is that the most tiring tiring training, like doing like, obviously grappling is a different type of stamina, right? Like
100%.
I tell friends of mine who don't train, it's like they'll talk about wrestling and stuff. It's like, listen, wrestlers, their endurance and their stamina is ridiculous, and it's just different. It's different.
Yep.
It's different than striking. It's different. Even jiu-jitsu. It's different. Wrestlers are fucking nuts.
Dude, up and down, up
and down. That's the worst part for me. Is
literally
like sprawling, get up, sprawling. I mean, I might as well be doing burpees, and I fucking hate burpees.
Yeah,
dude.
But that's the best thing that you could do for
that
them.
is absolutely true.
Now that I've been incorporating more like burpees in my workouts, like I can tell a difference from like just like getting up, sprawling, shooting, getting up, like because it's so tiring, especially when you add the punches into it. It's like, okay, like I'm throwing a combo at you and then you shoot on me and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I gotta defend it. And like then it's like you get taken down and you gotta get back up and then continue to hit this person. Like, dude, the cardio is just like out of this world.
And adrenaline too. People don't take into account, especially people that have never been in a fight, right? Like adrenaline dumps are a thing, and when it happens and you realize it's happening, it's fucking scary.
Right.
Now I've never been in a cage fight. I've never. I used to do point fighting way back in the day, and that is not the same. But I have been in street fights, and I have been in moments where I'm like, fuck, my arms are done, and I need my arms right now,
Right.
So I imagine that, one, has that happened to you in the cage, and two, kind of walk people through who have never been in that situation, kind of walk them through like what goes on in your head the moment you're like, shit,
Well, honestly, like, dude, like jiu-jitsu matches, like for the people that have done those, like with how you're just gripping with your forearms and just like non-stop
burn them out.
Yeah, and so like just times that by 5, you know, like you might feel it in your legs even, like when she took me down right off the bat, like, cause like everybody's like, she's gonna take you down. I'm like, yeah, like I get it, and then like, dude, I fucking threw like a 5-piece. I'm like, I got confidence, and I went forward, and then I went down.
Yeah,
and so it's just like in that moment when my back hit the canvas, I was like, I can't go out like this, like. That was my immediate thought, and you're like, I gotta get up, and then when you try to get up so frantically, you give your back, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in another bad position. I'm getting hit in the face, I'm getting smushed,
I'm fighting the hands, like I have to worry about her taking my neck now.
Right. And so it's like you have all these concerns going on in your head, but then at the same time, you're not even thinking at all. So it's like it goes back and forth, like you just kind of blank out. And like there's only like certain times that like I can remember like from fights, which I'm excited now to fight because it's been a minute, and like in training and in sparring, like it's all slowed down. So I'm like, I'm ready to see what this is going to be like in the cage, because like I'm ready to hit somebody, you know, and do it accurately, like with thinking and like just setting things up rather than like going in there and it's like, I'm here to hurt you and I'm here to win.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to, and then I can give you better feedback on it.
Yeah, you brought up the point with like jiu-jitsu and like your forearms going out, and man, that is such a real thing, especially, and it happens to me like if I'm on my back, somebody's in my guard, one thing I love to fish for is a Kimura.
Right.
And sometimes you're fighting that Kimura for a minute, and you might not even be like using much arm strength, but it's just like, because in a Kimura, how your arms are with their arms, there's constant pressure on your forearm. So it's like you might not even be like really trying that hard. You're just, keeping your arms stiff. And then the second you're not doing that anymore, like, oh, wow. Yeah. Like you're over. It's kind of like you ever wake up in the morning and you go to make a fist and it feels like you can't squeeze very hard. Yep. That's exactly how it feels. And, here in training, you don't really get, nobody's out here trying to hurt each other or kill anybody. So you don't feel that element of, oh, fuck.
Literally.
But I can imagine in a fight when that happens, just like, oh, no, and that's something I've never had to experience, in a cage. But I've always wondered that. And and I'm not just saying this to kiss anybody's ass here, because that's one thing I don't do is kiss ass. But I haven't noticed in anybody who fights here, nobody's ever given up in a fight. I haven't seen anybody give up. No quit. But there has been times where, we're all human. I'm watching them like, oh shit. The lactic acid is kicking in, People are tired now. Maybe in their head a little bit. Maybe they got cracked with something. They're like, didn't expect that, caught me off guard, because that happens too, Yeah. Has there ever been a time where you got cracked in a fight and you were like, damn, that one probably did a little bit of a number on me.
Dude, honestly, like, the only thing that I can, like, truly remember from a fight where it's, like, that hurt, in my last Muay Thai fight, she caught me, like, with a kick, like, a body kick, like, right up under my lat. And, like, in that moment, I was like, okay, like, that kind of hurt. But, like, I don't care how hard you crack me, because, like, even in here or, like, at the other school that I train at, it's, like, I'm going to take that hit. And then I'm going to keep going. Yeah. I think it's maybe like touch of the tism or something.
Yeah, you take one, give two.
Exactly. Yep. And like sometimes that might not be a good thing, but like we're here to party and I'm here to achieve my purpose. You know? So it's like the other day, Monday night, like this kid, like I was doing something, I was slacking, just a little moment, and like, because he just started training MMA, so I'm like, I'm giving some like, some air.
You're letting him work.
Yeah, and then he cracked me, and I was like, oh, my jaw went this way while my face is still this way, and like, so it happened, and but that's part of the game.
Well, that's the thing, too, like, training, you're not trying to kill each other, but, I mean, if you slack when you train, it's going to show when you fight, right? Like, you have to train, kind of how you're going to fight, to an extent. And it's good to have training partners that push you, right? Because if not, then what can you amount to? You know what I mean? But I remember, I think the fight you were talking about when she kicked you was at the Amy Peduto.
Yeah.
All right, so that was the one where we were in Charleston. It was like the hometown girl.
Yep.
I remember after that, like looking up in the cage, and it was like everybody from this academy was in that cage.
Bro,
like
literally
everybody. I was the only one. The reason why I wasn't in there, one, because I think I was filming, or maybe I can't remember if I was filming or not. But I used to work with the commission, and I don't know why I really care. I guess because I don't really like to burn bridges. But I didn't want to like go up there and they'd be like, oh, come on, you know the rules. You know, even though you were the main event, you were the last fight of the night. Sometimes they get, ornery about that kind of stuff. So I was like, you know what, I'll let them just have their fun. I'll just stay out here. That's cool. But yeah, I remember looking at it, probably like a good 15 people in there.
Dude, so many people. And the picture that they ended up taking, it was so sick because like everybody was just pumped.
And So now you have experience of going to somebody else's hometown, fighting the hometown person, and upsetting them, right?
Right.
Because it was an upset. Everybody there, well, besides us, obviously, and everybody who knows you, but everybody thought that she was going to win because like has so much experience, blah blah blah. And how does that feel when it's a great feeling? I imagine because you got the dub and you were the underdog, but everybody besides us in that building did not like you that night.
Dude, that happened in both fights. And, like, the funny thing is, when I fought Taylor, like, everybody thought I was going to lose. I think even DK was a little like, I don't know,
Collegiate wrestler.
Yeah, and, like, so Amy was the commentator for that fight. So
I do remember that. And I've reffed a couple of her fights, too. Listen, that girl is no slouch. Like, she's good. I'll give her credit. Like, I've seen her, I reffed one of her fights, and I think the fight that I reffed, she knocked the chick out, and they had headgear on.
Oh, dang.
And she knocked her out. And I mean, headgear, they were probably 14-ounce gloves, I don't know, something like that, and shin guards, and knocked her out. Now, the other girl could have just been ass, I don't know, but, so even whenever DK, me and him were talking, he's like, she's fighting blah, blah, it's Amy Peduto. I was like, oh, I know who Amy is. And I was like, that's going to be a good fight for Skyler. And I mean, listen, it was a good fight, but it was she might have hit you a couple times. It was a clinic for the most part. I mean, you kind of just dog walked her. And I don't mean that any disrespect to Amy, right? But like, you put the pressure on her from the beginning, and we all knew that you were going to do that because you don't go backwards, you go forwards.
Right.
And so we all knew. Even me and Corey were standing off to the side, and Corey's like, "This is about to be bad." I was like, "I have a feeling it is too," because I don't know how Amy's going to react when you pressure her like that. Because I've never, the fights that I've seen her fight, it's always just kind of been, mutual, blah blah, like strike, catch, strike, whatever. But she hadn't had anybody like really put her on the back foot. And when you get put on your back foot, it takes a lot of your game away.
That's it.
You can't really sit on your punches. You can't, really sit on your kick. I mean, you can kick, right? But if you're moving backwards and you throw a kick, you open yourself up to have your back on the ground, you know? So that was although I think, everybody was like, man, this is going to be a tough one. I don't think anybody really ever doubted because of your, you're a dog, your tenacity, and you push forward. And that's another thing with everybody here. It's like, there's no bitching anybody here. That's it. Like everybody here is like, when you guys work in that back room, everybody says it too. Like, oh, I train, but it's, everybody can say it. Yeah. But here, everybody knows. And then you got coaches back there like Nick or Jay-Z or whoever might be coaching, DK, whoever, or Bentley whenever he was here. It gets pretty fucking hectic back there. And there's been times where I've just been watching people spar. I'm like, oh shit, I've watched you spar before. I was like, oh shit, like they are swinging.
Yeah, we definitely train hard in here because it's like you do it in here. So then when you're going out there, nothing's new to you.
It's not a surprise, right?
Yeah, and so it's like you want to get those moments in here where you're like, fuck, I feel like I can't give no more, you know?
Well, better in here than
out
in
there.
front of hundreds of people. And
exactly.
When I'm sure the nerves are already crazy.
Exactly.
Before we get out of here, tell us about the nerves fighting, because I've seen how Austin acts. I've seen how Corey acts. I've seen how Britton acts. I've seen how Jay acts. I've seen you two before a fight. I've only seen you once, though. So, like, some people they're calm and they're just chill. They're like zen, if you will. And then a couple fights, when you start warming up, you start to hype yourself up, or listen, music or whatever. Like, what is your kind of routine, I guess, before a fight?
Dude, I'm just chilling.
Yeah?
Yeah, like, I got my headphones on. Like, I packed some food, some snacks, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel nervous, like, at all. Like, because it's like, I feel like this is truly my purpose.
Okay.
And so, like, I know that God's sending me in here, and I know that whatever's going to happen will be in his will, And so it's like, I'm pumped, once I start hitting pads, like, I'm like, I'm going to fuck this bitch up, like, but then, like, before that, like last time, I'm just chilling on a pallet. There was a pallet back there. I'm kicked back. Like, I have my headphones on, like, not a care in the world. I love the moments. I love it leading up to it because it's like, you're about to go do your thing. Like, what you work so hard for,
right,
you're about to go do and you're about to go show. So it's the best feeling. But
so the nerves really don't hit you at all?
No.
Not even like when you're getting in the cage and they're announcing you? You're
Nope.
just chill?
All the way. Like,
Wow.
dude, what stresses me out is seeing the other people, like, freak out. I'm like, will you please calm down?
Yeah.
You are stressing me out.
So at Jackson's last fight, we were just at, there was a dude back there, and I forget who was with us, but he's like, dude, come on, man, you're making me nervous. You could tell it was probably his first fight, and now that I think about it, maybe he got his gear on and warmed up maybe a little too early, because he was walking around for a long time after he had hit pads and stuff, and he's just like, and it's just like, are you trying to fool yourself? You know what I mean? Like, I get getting hyped. I get that. Don't get me wrong. But if you could have just seen this, it was just it felt like overkill. Now, maybe that's what he needed to do. He went out there and he got the dub. Maybe that's just, and everybody's different. Maybe he needed to do that for himself. But I always like to ask because, everybody's different. I mean, Jeremiah, he's all fun and games until a couple fights before, and then he does. It's just like it's almost like he's bipolar. He just hits the switch,
Right.
and then Austin is different too. Austin is kind of like chill, and Corey's always intense.
Right.
that man is always intense. So and then Jackson, calm and confident. So everybody has like their own little thing.
That's man.
Now for you, after you fight, right? Like, what is your go-to post-fight meal?
Ooh, normally
Let's skip the post-fight. What about weight cut? Like after you make weight, what is your meal?
Ooh, I love kava, which I don't know if you know
Kava?
what kava is, but like it's like a Mediterranean like Chipotle. And
Okay.
so like luckily like both times like Columbia and Charleston has them.
Mhm.
But like it's like you build your bowl like salad or whatever, and like you can get lamb, steak, chicken, like all that good stuff. So like I try to go that route with like a smoothie. And then, like, because in my head, I'm like, I want something sweet.
Yeah.
But not going to do that till after the
After
fight.
yeah. Kava. Never heard of that before. Is that, well, you said Mediterranean?
Yeah. So they have, like, the gyros, however you say it.
Yeah. I think it's Euro. I don't know. Gyro, I just say whatever.
Right.
Different day, different pronunciation.
Exactly. They got, like, the pitas, like, they got the rice bowls and stuff.
Gotcha, yeah. So
literally-
it's still healthy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, because, like, you just put your body through hell, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, no matter how bad we want, like, the hamburger and stuff like that, you're, like, you have to get used to food again. Like, your stomach will
Very
be
true.
messed up for, like, a couple of days.
Yep, and so so I've fasted a couple times. I actually, whenever I got sick and I didn't have an appetite anyways, I'm like, well, I'm going to take this time to fast. So yesterday, people don't know that whenever you deprive your body of those nutrients, you have to, it's kind of like when you have to wean yourself off of something. You have to wean yourself back into it, or else it's going to fuck your stomach up.
Yep.
But it's, I don't know, Jay-Z, that man has a iron stomach because after he makes weight, we go to Olive Garden every time. And he's getting, the breadsticks, the soup, the salad, all kinds of stuff. And that man is fine. He's just a little garbage disposal, as far as I go, I was like, I couldn't do that because I've done that after a fast before, and nobody likes to have diarrhea constantly for days. But yeah, so after I ended my fast yesterday, and I had a cucumber and an apple, and some bone broth. Today though, I'm gonna give me something good to eat tonight. But
there you go.
But yeah, so it's always it because I've heard the weirdest things whenever I've asked fighters before, what their post weigh-in meal is, and I had this one dude. I was up in Columbia for XMMAs whenever I was reffing. This event they had some people at. They had Julian Lane there. He was fighting Austin Hubbard. They had Aaron Brooks, who was an old Bellator champ. They had some ex-UFC guys there. Hanato Moicano was there, and there was I cannot remember his name. I think he's a Japanese dude. He used to fight with Alpha Male. I cannot remember the guy's name, but I asked him, and he said he liked to eat macaroni and cheese, which is good, but with capers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting. I was like, that sounds like ass because capers do not smell good. You know what they are?
Dude,
It's hard to explain. They look like little peas, but they smell horrible, dude. Like, I've never tried it, but they smell horrible. But he put capers in his macaroni and cheese. That was his post weigh-in meal.
That's interesting. See,
Fucking disgusting.
For macaroni, that is very interesting.
Just ruin it.
Because, like, every Saturday, like, that morning, like, fight morning, I have to have a bagel. So, like, my thing is, like, I'll go find, like, the good or the best bagel shop in that city, and I'm going to get a salmon bagel, but it probably has capers on it with onions and, like, probably like everything that would be like kind of questionable. Like, should you really be eating that? But it's like a bagel with salmon and cream cheese and all that. My go-to. Dude.
Yeah, I've never tried that. Are you I know obviously you're religious, me as well. Are you superstitious at all with little traditions before fights?
Dude, I always pray, read my Bible that day. I try to disconnect from my phone. Like, so many people are in their head and like plays on their phone, like to get out of it. But it's like I try to leave it alone. I like to read Proverbs every time.
Okay.
The Book of Wisdom, you know. But I know, like I said, if it's in God's will, it'll happen. And so I just put all faith in Him, man. Like faith over fear, because you can't feed into both at the same time.
Absolutely.
And so I would rather feed into faith.
Yeah. Hey.
So just praying God's word and just being relaxed. That's all my to-do list every time.
Right on. Well, hopefully you can get that fight on that card April 5th. I mean, if you're on there as well, that'll be like what, 5 people from here fighting? 6 people? Like the whole damn card is somebody from here.
Dude, and you know they have no Columbia fighters on the Columbia card?
Really?
Yes.
That is crazy.
Right.
I mean, because usually like that's the first thing you do. You start looking for locals.
Right.
You know,
so,
maybe you don't have to pay for their hotel room or something,
Right.
you know, like save you some money on the back end.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dude.
Well, one thing's for sure, especially like, man, that whole place is just gonna be the academy. Like everybody's gonna be there.
Oh yeah.
Now, do you plan to do any more grappling?
I mean, I was gonna do the Blue Coast thing that was coming up this weekend, but I'm gonna run my first 10K instead. So, I don't know. I just want to fill my time up with like different things, dude.
Yeah.
Like grappling. I really want to start like running like races and stuff.
Okay.
I just want to start doing all the things of an athlete and like living a better life. Right?
Yeah. And indulging yourself in it.
Exactly.
That's a good thing to do. All right. Well, tell people where they can follow your journey, Skyler.
You can follow me on Instagram at Skyler.Thrasher, SKYLER, and I think that's the same for TikTok. I never post on TikTok, so just follow me on Instagram.
By the way, what a last name for a fighter too, right? Like Thrasher. Shit, that's scary in itself. But appreciate you jumping on, Skyler, and hopefully you'll be on that card. I do plan on filming for that too, so it'd be cool to kind of kill, I don't know, 7 birds with 1 stone with all the people we have fighting on that card. So
literally,
hopefully you guys can get that going. And yeah, appreciate you coming on today.
Well, I appreciate you having me, man. And
no doubt.
Yeah.
And we'll do it again. Especially, I would love to get you on here after you go pro as well, because you'll have a whole different mindset and outlook, on shit once things go professional. You have to. So that'll be cool as well. For you guys watching, if you like this type of content, we do it every week if we can. As long as something fucked up don't happen, then we're here. Also, if you if you just want to get a different point of view from a fighter's perspective, maybe fight week or whatever, we do have the embeddeds on the channel as well. You can go watch all that stuff, and appreciate you guys, and until next time.